and welcome to choosing the books I'm going to read for the next month, aka my September TBR. So I had planned for this video to just do TBR jar prompts, pick the books I read, but then I woke up this morning and I felt like I've done that before. So many people have done that before. I kind of want to do something new. And I was really racking my brain. I was like, one of my favorite things that I've ever done to pick my TBR is my TBR board game. So what if I do kind of a spin-off of that and do a TBR card game? So I went on Canva, designed some cards, then I printed them out, got myself a deck of cards, and now it's time to glue them all together. All right, time to get started with the first step, cutting everything out. This might be a little tedious. Look who's kindly helping me cut all my cards. Wow, thank you. I finished! So there's 3 types of cards. There's pink, blue, and lastly green. And each of these represent a different genre. So green is fantasy and it says, flip this card if you're a fantasy lover. Pink is romance, and blue just says, flip this card if you're a book lover. So this one basically is good for any genre. It could be mystery, nonfiction, it could also be fantasy or romance. And then on the backs of the cards are prompts. So basically like the TBR jar, we have TBR prompts. So if I got the pink one that says for romance lover, this would only apply to romance books, and it says a book that has fake dating and etc. with all the other cards. Just gonna make sure that all the glue is dry and then we'll get started. And the fan that I'm using is from Drio, who has kindly sponsored today's video. My absolute favorite thing about this fan is that it's so customizable and it's so easy to control. You can change the wind speed, the angle on the fan, or with their remote, or you can connect it to your Google and Alexa. So like if the fan was in the corner, you're at your desk, you wanna say, hey Google, turn up the fan 1 speed, you can do so. And they also have an app, which is so nice. I can turn the fan on from the app, adjust the wind speed from low all the way to super high. And there's so many other amazing settings. It has a timer, a sleep mode. It can tell you the temperature in your room, which is quite cool. And I also really love that the fan has quite a powerful airflow, but with minimal noise. To me, noise can be so distracting when I'm working. So I really appreciate this about this fan. And funny enough, I was at dinner last night with some friends and I was telling these friends that I had this sponsorship coming up. And one of my friends was like, no way, I just got a Drio fan and I love it. It always makes me feel better to purchase a new product if I know people who own it and like it. So my friend and I are both fans of this fan. And I also love that the fan has such a wide coverage area. It can go 90 degrees vertically and 120 degrees horizontally, so it can really circulate the airflow through every corner of your room. And Drio is a leading smart home brand that offers a variety of fans that are very high quality and very innovative. So you can check out this fan specifically and all the products that Drio has to offer by clicking the link in my description. Okay, let's get started making my TBR. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I guess for this first one, I'm just gonna mix up all the cards and choose one at random. Picking one. Okay, this one's green, so it's gonna be a fantasy. And it says, a book that is part of a duology. Okay, as you guys know, I'm in the middle of like 5 billion series, but in the last few months, I finished the Dance of Thieves duology. I read it in a week, and that made me realize if I kind of want to mix it up and not just work on finishing the series I'm in the middle of, but read a new series, I can realistically finish a duology in like a week without adding that to the long list of all the series that I'm in the middle of. On Air is a duology that's like a spin-off from the Cruel Prince series. So like, I just really want to be back in this world again. Book 2, also around the TBR, The Prisoner's Throne. Also, this is by far the prettiest book I own. I'm really obsessed with it. Okay, this card done, so it's going out of the pile. I think I'm gonna choose 3 cards. 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna pick 1. Okay, another fantasy. A book that has the coolest aesthetic when you search the book on Pinterest. Okay, I don't know if this is too niche, but I love making Pinterest boards for every single book that I read. So I'm gonna take my fantasy books on this cart, search the name, the word aesthetic, and see which one has the most intriguing photos that come up. First, we have Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Okay, intriguing. Honestly, not as aesthetic as I thought. Getting like coins. Okay, here's more like couples. Cinnamon rolls. Oh, I guess that was kind of relevant in the first book. So that's option 1. Wild is the Witch. This is giving me very much fall vibes. Spinning Silver. Ooh, honestly, like the snow in the winter, I'm liking the vibes. That's a pretty good book aesthetic. And lastly is House of Salt and Sorrows. This has a good aesthetic too, with like the sea and the cliffs and all the sisters. Okay, I think the plot of Spinning Silver intrigues me the most, but it definitely had a more wintry aesthetic, so I feel like this would be perfect for November, December. And Wild as the Witch was just so fall. It was just giving such perfect fall vibes. It says, after a night of magic turned deadly, Iris Gray vowed to never let another person learn she's a witch. Iris lives in Washington, and she vents her frustrations by writing curses she never intends to cast, which only sounds like that can end in disaster. And it says that Iris works at a wildlife refuge that she runs with her mother, and who also works there is Pike, a witch-hating but aspiring ornithologist, which I just looked up, and that's somebody who studies birds. Iris, of course, writes a curse against Pike that she never intends to cast, but an owl flies in and steals it. And I guess an owl is a very powerful amplifier, so if the owl dies, Iris's dark spell will be unleashed on Pike and everyone in the region, so her and Pike have to work together to get this spell back. I love an enemies to lovers, and I've read one other Rachel Griffin book before that was called Bring Me Your Midnight, and that one they were enemies to lovers and witches, and it was so good. That was a 5-star read for me. Great romance in it, and so I really want to read a second Rachel Griffin book because I feel like that will solidify whether that was just like a one hit for me from her or if she's like an auto-buy author for me. All right, going on the TBR. Hopefully we don't get a fantasy this time because I do want to read some romance. Thing at random. All right, book lover. So this one can be any genre. And it says, a book that everyone has read, but you haven't. So I'm thinking for this one, like a book that's really popular that everyone's like talking about, reviewing, but I've never gotten to it. And I know what I want to do. I think I 1000% need to read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I've read one other Kennedy Ryan book before, but I have heard such amazing, amazing things about this book, and I desperately need to read it. It's been on my TBR for way too long, and honestly, I don't know really anything about it. I think I'm gonna stick with going in a little bit blind. I do see the word marriage, so I'm guessing we've got a second chance romance. And I feel like it's pretty rare that we read about characters who are already together, or already married, especially. Like I know there was You Deserve Each Other, which was a really fun book where they were married or engaged, I think engaged. So I feel like it's gonna be a unique plot, it's gonna be heartfelt, and I can't imagine that it's not gonna be really, really good. Okay, I kind of want a romance card because I honestly forgot what I put on them, but I feel like those are gonna be cute. Romance! And this one says, a book that has a blank colored cover. So I'm gonna get a random color generator, and whichever color we get, I'll have to choose a book with that color cover. Spin. Green. Green. I feel like that's not common. And for a romance book, I have to do it for a romance book. I was gonna say, I feel like a fantasy might have green. Oh! I see one that has green and it's a romance. Let's do it. Juniper Hill. This book is the second book in the Eden series, and I really, really, really enjoyed Indigo Ridge because it had romance and mystery, and I love a combo, like a multi-genre book, but particularly romance and mystery has like always been a hit for me. I don't know if this one's gonna have any mystery in it. For some reason, I feel like it won't, but that would be amazing if it did. Okay, it says this one is Neighbors to Lovers. Very cute. It's also small town, which feels very fall vibes. And she's a single mom. Okay, so many amazing tropes. This is cute. So Knox is our male love interest and he's a chef. And then Memphis is our female main character and she starts working at the Eloise Inn. I think it's gonna be really, really cute for fall because it's like in Montana. The town I picture in my head is the town from Gilmore Girls. We're at this inn and all the books follow a different member in the Edens family. So kind of like the Chestnut Springs series. You kind of get like really invested just like in this one family, which I love. Okay, let's choose another one. Oh, I saw the back first, but this is flip this card if you're a book lover, so any genre, and it's a wild card, which means I choose. This one might actually be the hardest one of all. Okay, there's 3 I'm debating between. I wish I could keep this card till the end because then I could just choose whichever book I wanted that didn't previously get picked. But I feel like I should follow the rules in the order that I drew it in. And the 3 I'm excited about, 2 of them are for series that I'm gonna love. Reckless, because I read Powerless in August, loved it, absolutely obsessed. And then Killer Instinct, because I also read The Naturals, which I don't think you've seen the video yet of me reading The Naturals. I think that's coming out next. I read a bunch of spooky books, mysteries, thrillers, and that was one of them. Freaking obsessed, loved it so much, and I really want to read the second book ASAP. And then third option is a novel love story. I bought this book very recently and the plot just sounds so, so, so cute to me. And I want to read all these really bad in the next month. Oh my gosh, I've just been staring at them. I don't know what to pick. Okay, my heart is telling me Killer Instinct because this is the last book I finished, The Naturals. So I think my heart and my head are just in this world still. And if you haven't read The Naturals, you should ASAP. I can't believe it took me this long to read the series. It has a love triangle, which normally I don't love, but I think Jennifer Lynn Barnes writes really good love triangles. And then the concept is very fun. It's basically this group of teens who all have special abilities and they're recruited by the FBI to help them solve crimes. Let's pick prompt number 7. A book that Instagram chooses. Okay, this is fun. There are 2 options. I'm gonna do a novel love story because I do really wanna read this book. And then the second one I'm gonna do, I actually don't own yet, but I ordered it and it's coming very soon. And that's Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I love Wild Love so much, the first book. So I think it's gonna be a hit. Since I don't have it, I'm just gonna take a picture of a random book for that one. And I'm gonna like color over the cover anyway. I'm gonna have people mystery pick which book. Okay, Wild Eyes. I feel like I've gotta do eyes. I also know it's in a small town, so I'm gonna add some mountains. And then the main male love interest is a dad, so let's add a kid. And then the plot of a novel love story, she basically wakes up in this town that is from the book that she's reading. Like she's like transported to her book's town, which is such a cool concept. So have to do a book. And let's do a heart, because I think it's just gonna be like your classic, really cute romance. Honestly, I'd be so happy if either book won because I think both are just gonna be really good. Let's check back in at that one at the end. We'll give it some time to rack up some votes. So let's pick 2 more. We're coming down to the end. And there's still some books on here that I do really want to read in September. Okay, this one's a general, no genre one. And it says, a book that you're scared you won't like. No. Okay, I have a lot of these. Well, I don't know if I do have a lot of these because I am pretty good about unhauling books if I don't think I'm gonna be interested in them. There is one book I put on this card that I'm really iffy on, but I did want to finally try reading it this fall, and that is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This book, I just can't decide if it's gonna be good or not. It's a fun concept. It's like romance meets murder, which I traditionally have loved, but it also sounds a little like cheesy and like cringy kind of. I don't know. I'm not sure why. It's just kind of giving me that it might be like that. I also have heard very mixed reviews about it. If I hear a review from someone that I trust their book taste that they didn't like it, then that makes me like iffy on if I'll like it. And basically our main character, she's going on vacation, and when she gets to the rental house, there is a corpse in the rental house. And then who shows up but a crude bounty hunter who arrives on the back of a motorcycle ready to catch the killer, and he refuses to believe that I can be helpful, despite countless hours of true crime podcast listening. So it sounds like a fun fall read because obviously like murder, mystery, and romance, but I think it's just the way that the summary is written is like kind of cheesily written. I'm iffy on this one, so I think it's fitting for the card. Let's put it on the TBR. Not looking. Okay, this one says the highest rated on Goodreads. I'm actually so curious. I have no idea. Let me take a guess. I feel like that'd be fun. I'm gonna guess Reckless just because I feel like books that are in a series, like not the first book, but later in the series, like second or onward, have high ratings because you'll only kind of stick around for the second plus book in a series if you liked the first one. I pulled the top 3 highest rated books. In third place, at 4.24 star average rating, is Some Shall Break by Ellie Marney. This book is really fun. It's the second book in a series. The first one is None Shall Sleep. And I love this series because kind of like the Natural series, they're teens who are recruited by the FBI, but they're hunting teenage serial killers, which is wild. Definitely more of a serious tone than the Naturals, but such like an interesting read. Then in second place at 4.29 stars, we have Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. Tom Felton played Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter, and this is his memoir. And then in first place, I genuinely did not expect this book at all. This book wouldn't have even been in my top 10 guesses from this card. I had no idea this book is so beloved, and that is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This is a college sports romance, and besides that, I really don't know much about it. Yeah, I just reread the summary, and it's very vague, which I do kind of like because I like going in books blind, but that's also, I think, why it hasn't really been on my radar because there's nothing super specific about it that is hooking me because I just can't tell that much about it. It also has a football on the cover in the back, so that's why I guess it was also a sports romance. Okay, this is the last book going on the TBR outside of our poll, which we need to check. I have no idea which one's winning. I feel like Wild Eyes is gonna be in the lead just because I think the emojis were a little more interesting, but I don't know. I really don't know. Oh wow, okay, a novel love story has won so far by 60%. That's quite a bit. A novel love story it is. I guess I kind of already gave you guys a brief summary, and it says, I love this line, she's stranded in a quaint town that seems like it's right out of a novel. Because it is. She's trapped in the late author's last unfinished story, and she's sure that she's here to help bring the town to its storybook ending, except And I think this is so interesting. There's a character in the town who she can't place, a grumpy bookstore owner, and he does not want her finishing this book. And I think it's interesting she can't place him, so like everyone in the town is a character from the romance series, except for him. So it's like, why is he the exception? I don't know. Okay, that is the final TBR. Wait, that's only 9 books. Did I want to do 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why did I think I had already done 10? That's only 9. Should we do one more? 10 is just a satisfying number. Okay, let's do one more. All right, general book, so any genre. I kind of was hoping this one get pulled because I think it's a really interesting prompt. It says, a book that has a really interesting closing line. So the last line of the book. This is risky because I could end up spoiling the book for myself, but also I feel like a lot of times last lines are just something generic and like heartwarming. I don't think I'm gonna read the last line for any of the mysteries because I don't wanna risk completely spoiling the book. But I feel like for a romance book, even fantasy, it's like very safe to read the ending. I think this could go so poorly. This is a risk, but I'm willing to take it. I'm gonna read you some if they're not spoilers and interesting. So we've got Hello Stranger by Catherine Center, and it says, and doing that, choosing in this cynical world to be a person who does that, we don't know what that is, really is doing something that matters. Cute, not really interesting. Aww. That one's okay. Okay, not gonna read you this one because I think it's a spoiler from Powerless, but this one has a really interesting last line, and I hope it is just a Powerless spoiler and not another spoiler, because it totally could be. Now, this is intriguing. This is Spinning Silver, and it says, but I won't ever tell you what it is. What is it, and why can't we know what it is? I think Powerful and Spinning Silver were the most interesting. I think I'm gonna wanna pretty much for sure read Powerful in September because I did just read Powerless, and that's the final TBR. Let's go over it. So we've got 10 books total, and I feel like they're quite a good mix. We've got one mystery on the list, which is Killer Instinct, a mystery romance with My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey, 4 romances, a novel love story, Say You Swear, Juniper Hill, Before I Let Go, and then we have 4 fantasy books, Wild as the Witch, The Stolen Heir, and The Prisoner's Throne, and lastly is Powerful. And that concludes my September TBR. Even from this list, please let me know like which are the ones you'd be most excited to see me read, or that you just think I'm gonna love, or that you loved, because I don't think I'm gonna get to all of these. I think I'm probably realistically gonna read like 7-ish. And so I'll still have to choose like which ones to prioritize, which ones I'm in the mood for out of this list. All right, and with that, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Thank you.